Last December, we organized the biggest Christmas party at the CIC we have ever had. There were so many people that literally you could not hold your eggnog steady because everyone was bumping into each other. And we hosted this party in partnership with a number of other terrific Catholic organizations. And I heard people saying that the CIC had become like the United Nations of the Catholic Church. I was so pleased because the CIC has become a place at the service of everyone. Our outreach has grown so much in size and in depth since I arrived in DC in 2016 to lead the Catholic Information Center after my predecessor, Father Arnie Panula. I remember he was amazing. So I remember my first gala at the Mayflower Hotel with a ballroom half the size of this one. And today I'm so pleased to share with you that this year we have reached full capacity in this new venue. And we were sold out like 1.5 months ago. So, thank you. But I see this as a testament to the CIC team and their determination and their competence and intensity of work to bring the light of Christ to Washington and our country. And I really want to thank them. First of all, Mitch Bursma. Angelica Tom. Kevin Jones, our bookstore manager. Liz Langan, our new staff member at the CIC. Gerard McNair Lewis and Father Paul Kais, who is our assistant chaplain, who is not here today. And also I want to thank all the many amazing volunteers that we have had during this year and also tonight at this gala. Thank you so much. I also wish to recognize the work that was begun 11 years ago when Father Arnie and Mitch Bursma founded the Leonine Forum as the CIC's Young Professionals Program. And today it has blossomed into its own independent organization with chapters in New York, in Los Angeles, and in Chicago. And there are thousands, no, not thousands, 1,000. There are 1,000. There will be thousands in the future of Leonine Fellows nationwide. And bravo to the Leonine team. Thank you. Anyway, every day I feel so blessed to be part of the Catholic Information Center. The CIC brings the light of Christ, first of all, through the sacraments, which is, I would say, the main ingredient of our special sauce. We have daily, weekday Mass. We have daily, I'm there every day, weekdays for confession, so you can catch me anytime. We have, and all this at the heart of the city that directly impacts and indirectly impacts the rest of the world, because there are so many great people downtown Washington, D.C. and in our city that need the sacrament, the nourishment of God. And all this that we do is to provide, again, this essential service to those souls who work very hard to transform our country, our society into a better place, and to witness our Lord in the public square. Now, first the sacraments, then also we cultivate the spirit, the intellect, and the will of the CIC community with great programs featuring great speakers relevant to our times. Recently, we had one on just war, theory and practice from a Catholic perspective. Very relevant, right? And one on fashion and style and the dignity of the human person. Well, we had the world expert consultant in color harmony for your wardrobe. And I felt funny introducing the panelists, since I always dress in black and I never change my style, you know? I don't have... Anyway, and then tonight we are honored to award the incredible work of the Thomistic Institute. This is the first time we present our award to an organization. The TI embodies the spirit of the new evangelization envisioned by John Paul II, by St. John Paul II, by strengthening the spiritual and the intellectual formation in universities, in the workplace, in the public square, and in the church. Founding director, Father Joseph Thomas White, and the current director, Father Dominic Leck, who are outstanding priests, are here tonight to accept the award on behalf of the TI. And by the way, they have come, Father Dominic has come from London, and Father Thomas Joseph White from Rome. So, they are here for tonight, and to be with all of you. So, thank you, fathers, and your staff, and your supporters for all you do for the new evangelization, which is so needed in our society. And we will have more about the TI in the second half of the dinner. Now, the CIC's location on K Street allows us to serve so many working professionals involved in a diverse array of interesting professions. You never know who you are going to run into. So let me tell you a story. Last January, during the March for Life, I was at a nearby hotel early in the morning, and I was asked if I could drive a special guest to Capitol Hill to a pro-life event with members of Congress. And the reason I was asked, it was because it was snowing very heavily that day by Washington standards, not by my standard. This should look at Chicago or Pittsburgh, And so literally there were no taxis or Ubers in the street. So I was asked to drive this person, and I was very happy to say yes. So this big guy comes into my car, which is, it's not big, it's not small, but the guy was like, he was not very comfortable. And he was there with his daughter. So we start chatting. And he mentions to me that he is from Ann Arbor. So I tell him, I know the city. Because I used to live in South Bend, I used to go to Ann Arbor to hear confessions once a month. So I continued to tell him about the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor, and what a great football team the Wolverines they have. So, and then as a Spaniard, I'm very proud to know everything about football, or so I think. So I started to tell him everything about the Wolverines, and the stadium, and the capacity, and the players, and at some point I even told him, listen, just in case you didn't hear, the Wolverines just won the national championship. So anyway, we make it to Capitol Hill and through the snow, and then he invites me to come over for this breakfast event, and as I am coming in, I see him speaking at the podium, and I didn't know he was the speaker at all. Someone comes to me, "Oh, Father Charles, look at who is speaking at the podium. You know who he is, right?" And I say, "Of course. His name is Jim. I'm his driver." And then she said, "Well, his name is Jim Harbaugh, the most famous football coach in the country." So afterwards, I went to him and I told him, "Jim, you were..." Yeah. I told him, "Jim, you were in my car for 20 minutes, and you never said anything about who you were." And then he said, "Oh, Father Charles," he's like, "Oh, Father Charles, this was the best ride in my life." Anyway, and then he said that next time he was going to be in town, he would come to the Catholic Information Center. Now I'm checking the calendar because now he's the new head coach of Los Angeles Chargers. So I hope that they play here in DC. So last May, we had our second Eucharistic procession downtown DC. It was a tremendous success. At the beginning of the week, the weather forecast predicted that there was a possibility of rain, and I prayed very hard for a sunny day, or, if not sunny, at least no rain. And it didn't rain any time during the week, except during the Eucharistic procession. It was pouring. So I thought I was going to be processing by myself. But 1,000 people showed up. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. And well, we have the day for our next one, so let's double the amount of people on Saturday, May 17th of this coming year. I hope everyone here can make it, and invite your friends. Now, because we are joined by many of our Dominican priest friends, I want to share with you that I am a big fan of St. Thomas Aquinas. And that he resolved one of the most pressing theological questions in the history of Spain. You might know that in that country, it has always been traditional to take naps, siestas. So I found this question buried in his Summa Theologica. Whether naps are necessary for salvation. So he goes through some objections. The first objection is it would seem that naps are not necessary for salvation. Salvation consists in becoming like God. God is most actual. Hence, naps are opposed to actuality and are hence opposed to salvation. Objection 2. Besides, St. Paul says, "Be watchful and awake, for your salvation is near at hand." Naps are opposed to being watchful. Hence, it follows that naps are opposed to salvation. But there is a psalm. On the contrary, the psalmist says that God pours gifts on his beloved while they slumber. So now salvation is a gift, and we must sleep to receive the gifts of God. Hence, naps are necessary for salvation. Wait. So St. Thomas now replies after gathering all the information. He says that naps give us rest the rest, that we might wake refreshed and joyful to praise God. To this end, naps are necessary for salvation, since praising God is necessary for salvation. Likewise, contemplation is said to be a foretaste of heavenly beatitude. Naps are a foretaste of heavenly beatitude. Now I can, by experience, I know that that is right. Consequently, it must be said that naps are necessary for salvation. Furthermore, Jesus slept in a boat. Hence, we are to sleep in the church, for the boat is an analogy of the church. Hence, we are to sleep during church, often during homilies. That's St. Thomas Aquinas. I mean, don't look at me. So, and there you have it. I look forward to seeing Father Dominic's version of this in an upcoming episode of Aquinas One-on-One. Now, to be sure, we do not want to nap too much, since there is so much work to do. There are so many people around us wishing and longing to hear about the Catholic faith through our witness and our life. Let me end by highlighting one more aspect of the Catholic Information Center, which is that many people have found the Catholic faith through the CIC. They come from different backgrounds, sometimes Christian, sometimes not. They receive an intense formation in the teachings of the Church and through personal conversations and great readings. By the way, the CIC has the CIC bookstore has the best selection of curated books, Catholic books, in the city. And thanks to the bookstore manager, Kevin Jones. Now, most of the times, these seekers of the faith find the CIC through a recommendation, through the recommendation of a friend, from a friend or a DC acquaintance. And after they become Catholic, they become, all of them, outstanding members of their parishes and communities. And now I am happy to show you a video we just produced that reflects the role of the CIC, that the CIC has played in the conversions to the Church of so many people.
I had reached a point in my life where I thought that I had accomplished all of my goals, law school, finding a good job, passing the bar exam, but I wasn't happy. And I didn't understand why I wasn't happy.
I was confirmed in the Episcopal Church. You know, when I went to college, kind of fell away from the faith. So I was a little bit lost.
I learned all about the Old Testament and my Jewish background and my culture. However, I was seeking something more.
I had actually started going to a Buddhist temple, and all I was looking to do was to quiet my soul.
I long suspected that I might have an itch to join the Catholic Church, but for a whole host of reasons and excuses, I had never joined the church. And then a friend of mine introduced me to Father Charles.
The CIC has helped many people to come into the Catholic Church. Everyone has a yearning to be better and to be closer to God. It is like the disciples of Emmaus when they discovered Jesus at the breaking of the bread.
It was a colleague who was attending daily Mass at the Catholic Information Center, and the fact that he was going to a Christian service on a weekday profoundly resonated with me. I was instantly drawn to the words, "Soul shall be healed." And I found myself on my knees crying, and I couldn't explain what had just come over me. And I walked down the sidewalk, same sidewalk I walk down every day when I'm at work, and life just looked beautiful to me.
I invited Father Charles over to join me for a cup of coffee, and we talked. And I said, I've often thought that at some point I would join the Catholic Church, and With his characteristic joy, he said, "That's great, what are you waiting for? Let's get started." And so we did.
I met a friend who told me, if you want to learn about converting to the faith, go to the Catholic Information Center, just show up. So I show up and I proceeded to knock vigorously. I was very nervous, so I didn't really understand how hard I was knocking at the door. And lo and behold, beautiful Angelica comes and answers the door and says, can I help you?
The staff who are here at the CIC are very well equipped and has many resources to help in different ways those who want to become Catholics.
The Catholic Information Center is a wonderful light in our nation's capital. I mean, it's here on K Street in the center of all the action, so to speak. They have such outstanding people who have different styles, but bring people to Christ and to the church.
I grew up in an Orthodox Jewish family, and I did not follow an Orthodox path. The question is, do you believe in the church as a truth-telling institution? And that really caught me, because I really do. When the currents of moral relativism were just sweeping through, it was the church that became the only redoubt, the only enclave to sustain that natural law reasoning, that reasoning accessible to human beings as human beings.
Father Charles asked me what I wanted to talk about, and I said St. Augustine. And in response, Father Charles said, "No, how about we start with the Bible?" I would say overall, Father Charles had me read about 2/3 of the Bible.
I really did feel like it was a master's degree program condensed into a 6 or 7 month period. I mean, I feel so lucky to have that, because I think it's so much more extensive than I would have gotten if I had just flipped through the Bible on my own.
Father Charles is very patient and certainly helped to cement my conviction that the church was where I belonged.
It's really Jesus who draws to him so many people yearning for him when they come into the CIC in different ways.
I'm lucky to be in a town where I get to run into amazing people, and to have this built-in community of believers is amazing.
If it weren't for the Catholic Information Center, I would not have encountered Christ, and I would not have met and subsequently married my husband, Matthew.
Not only did the Catholic Information Center bring me into the church, but also helped my husband come back to the church. It's amazing the multiplier effect that the CIC has. When one person comes in or one person comes back, how many people around that person will begin to come back and convert themselves.
You really get the sense for the scale of the impact that Father Arnie, Father Charles, and the Catholic Information Center has had on people's lives.
I just can't imagine DC without the CIC.
As you can see, these are just a few of the conversion stories at the CIC made possible by all of you tonight with your prayers, with your financial generosity. And all these people continue to grow and to blossom in their faith. And they will also bring the light of Christ, as you do in your lives, to our society.